This tax exemption eludes me like a gazelle eludes an arthritic cat.
Why can't Canby people keep track of their dogs? Like, what is...
To do that, you can't be stupid with guns.
Yeah. So the board is saying they want to make Canby schools great again.
It feels like we've been doing this interview for years.
Inside of me was screaming.
You run for school board, you win or you die.
There's no second place. Welcome to the Canby Now podcast.
We are the best and easiest way to stay connected to what's happening in your hometown. I'm Tyler Frankie.
I'm James Walton.
And I'm Tyler Clausen. No one was more surprised by the abrupt resignation of Aurora Mayor Kris Sallee 2 weeks ago than former Mayor Sallee herself. This according to a statement sent to the Canby Now podcast and posted to her political Facebook page Wednesday night. It marked the first time since her resignation on September 11th that she had spoken publicly about her decision to step down, other than the one-sentence letter of resignation she had submitted to City Hall. In the statement last week, she denied that her resignation had anything to do with the complaint filed against her with the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries by City Recorder Scott Jorgensen, in which he claimed she harassed him while on paternity leave and had created a hostile work environment for him and other city staff. She called the idea that her resignation was due to the complaint absolutely false. This is absolutely false, she said, adding that she, quote, strongly encourages the city recorder to pursue that complaint to its final conclusion. Sallee also denied that she had created a hostile work environment for Jorgensen, his predecessor, or anyone else who had worked for the city of Aurora. However, that is not to say that she believes that there is a lack of hostility at Aurora City Hall. No one is more disappointed at my resignation than I was. However, since being installed as the duly elected mayor over the last 9 months, an escalating, untenable atmosphere developed, she said. In totality, there was no hostile work environment established. What there was an escalating hostile workforce and a hostile and vindictive council. This made it increasingly impossible to fulfill the requirements that the electorate required of me. In the last regular meeting of the Aurora City Council, which took place the night before Sallee resigned, the council and mayor had disagreed violently over the question of whether to appoint a personal manager, an impartial liaison between the council and the city staff. This is a role that had typically been filled by the mayor, and Sallee felt strongly that it should remain under the duties of the city's highest elective office. Sallee believes that the mayor should, by default, also function in the role of city manager, a position that otherwise would be unfilled in the small city of Aurora. In the end, Sallee was overruled, and the council president, Tom Heitmannick, was appointed to fulfill the role of personal manager by a 4-1 vote. I have no misgivings with regard to my actions as mayor or city manager, she said. If I have any concerns at all, it is with the fact that the council selectively ignores the rules and procedures that are firmly established by the city charter, council procedures, and especially the employee handbook. This council has intentionally taken efforts to deconstruct the role and position of the mayor and in the city of Aurora. Sallee accused the council of believing they, quote, are not accountable for their actions or agenda to the citizens. This was the greatest stumbling block between myself and the council and my ability to construct the business of the city on behalf of the citizens, she said. All there is left for me to say is that I wish the citizens of Aurora all the best. The city is currently accepting applications to fill the remaining 15 months of Sallee's term. A replacement will be appointed at the regular city council meeting on October 8th.
The Canby Police Department will be conducting a pedestrian safety operation later today on Monday, September 23rd. The operation will take place at a marked crosswalk on South Ivy Street near Southeast 3rd Avenue, just north of Bethany Church. Police say they picked this crosswalk because it is on a straight stretch and clearly visible in both directions, and because this area has also been the topic of citizen complaints. The crosswalk will be marked with warning signs the day prior to the operation. The enforcement operation will focus on vehicles failing to stop and remain stopped for pedestrians in a marked crosswalk. Canby Police say the goal of the operation is to raise pedestrian safety awareness. Through the use of a decoy pedestrian, the officers hope to raise the awareness of drivers and pedestrians through education and enforcement of pedestrian right-of-way laws. Although motorists who fail to yield to the pedestrians will be targeted, police will stop motorists for any violation, including illegal cell phone use. The base fine for failing to stop for a pedestrian is $265. This operation was made possible through Oregon Department of Transportation, Pedestrian and Bicycle Safety Division, and Oregon Impact.
An Aurora man was sentenced to 25 years in prison last week after pleading guilty to numerous sex crimes against 2 children, which took place between 2015 and 2017 in Multnomah and Clackamas counties. 36-year-old Andrew Heinenge was convicted in Multnomah County Circuit Court last Monday on 1 count of rape, 1 count of sodomy, 3 counts of first-degree sexual abuse, and 1 count of use of a minor to manufacture a controlled substance. He also pleaded no contest to a 4th count of sexual abuse. In a separate case, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of rape in the first degree and 2 counts of sexual abuse in the first degree. Most of the charges he was convicted of were Measure 11 offenses carrying mandatory minimum sentences. The victims were relatives of Heinenge, according to court documents. One was younger than the age of 16 at the time of the abuse, and the other younger than 14. Heinenge initially faced 49 felony charges, including several related to sexual abuse, incest, the sale and manufacture of marijuana within 1,000 feet of a school, the use of a minor in manufacturing marijuana, and forcing a minor to ingest a controlled substance. The remaining charges were dismissed through a plea agreement. Multnomah County Deputy District Attorney Amber Kenney, who litigated this case, said the resolution will come as an incredible relief to the victims and their family. Mr. Heinenge caused considerable harm to these children. The state supports this fair and just resolution as it holds Mr. Heinenge accountable for his actions and protects his victims from any further trauma that they would have been exposed to during trial. We are very proud of the victims for coming forward and making these disclosures. Heinenge will serve his sentence at Coffee Creek Correctional Facility. Upon his release, he will face 45 months of post-prison supervision. He will also have to register as a sex offender and has been ordered not to have contact with either victim.
No one was injured in a house fire that broke out on Schleifer Road in Colton at approximately 8:55 p.m. Thursday. On arrival, crews from the Colton Fire District found a 2-story residence with smoke coming out from the roof and the second floor. A second alarm was sounded, bringing additional resources, including multiple units from Clackamas County Fire District, Molalla Fire District, Canby Fire District, and Estacada Fire District. Firefighters evacuated a single male occupant and contained the fire to the roof and attic. The cause is still under investigation, but is believed to have been started near the chimney. The Colton Fire District encourages the community to have your chimney cleaned and inspected annually. The Colton Fire District provides chimney brushes for the public to borrow, which are located at the main fire station. The new era of Canby Cougar football rolled on Friday as the Cougs hit the road to face the heavily favored Tiger Tigers, ranked number 2 in the state. The visiting Cougs put up a good fight but ultimately fell 51-27. The game featured a bit of a reunion as Canby head coach Jimmy Joyce and Tiger head coach John Kemper met on the field as opposing coaches for the first time. 15 years ago, the two had roomed together in what Joyce called a, quote, Fleabag apartment when they were teammates at Linfield College in McMinnville. The sentimentality evidently was short-lived as Kemper's Tigers scored on their first drive and didn't let up the pressure much until the final whistle. The Cougs actually managed to even things up after the first score on a 75-yard bomb from senior quarterback Andrew Peters to junior speedster Chance Miller. But that's the closest they would come. They trailed 20-7 at the end of the first quarter, and though they continued to move the ball on offense, their D was no match for the Tigers machine. Peters rounded out his night with another touchdown pass to senior receiver Jack Lindman, his first of the season. Bruising running back Wyatt Ramos again led the ground assault and, despite a juggled handoff in the third quarter, managed to bully his way in for a score, literally carrying the ball on his back. The Cougs' final score came from another connection to Miller, this time from backup QB Mikey Gibson, a junior who got some burn in the fourth quarter. It was their highest scoring game under the leadership of Joyce, the former offensive coordinator for Beaverton High School. Though their record stands at 0-3, the improvement from last year's winless campaign is obvious. They have been much more competitive and have already matched their season total for points, 62, in only 3 games. The Cougs will finally be back home next week as they again take on the Tigers, this time from Newburgh. Newburgh is 2-1 and fresh off of a 41-0 rout over Summit. In other sports, the Canby Cougars volleyball team was dominant this week, taking 6 straight sets as they turned away challenges from Tigard and St. Mary's Academy to improve to 4-3 overall and 3-1 in league play. They'll look to keep that momentum going with 2 games this week, both at home. It won't be easy as they take on 9-2 Lake Ridge Tuesday, ranked 11th in the state, and 6-2 West Lynn on Thursday, ranked number 6. You can catch both games starting at 6:30 p.m. The Canby boys soccer team got their first win this week, defeating Lake Ridge on the road 3-1. Junior Francisco Caballo was particularly impressive in the win, scoring 2 goals and assisting on a third to senior Sergio Rodriguez. On youth soccer night Thursday, Canby fought hard all night, but visiting Tualatin managed to escape with the 1-0 win, denying the Cougs their second win in a row. Up next will be Lake Oswego and Oregon City, both at home. The action kicks off at 7 p.m. Tuesday and again Thursday. The girls' soccer team had only 1 match this week, a 2-1 loss they took on the road to Prairie High School in Vancouver. The loss drops them to 1-2 on the season. They'll be back in action at home Monday versus Beaverton, then hit the road Thursday to face Wilsonville.
So I'm here at the Canby Public Library with Hannah Hofer. She does public relations and programming for the library. Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
And we're looking over some of the new materials that just came into the Canby Public Library. Not exactly what you might be expecting. I see no books, no movies, no music. Tell us what's going on here.
Well, we're expanding the library into other things, and it's actually called Library of Things.
Yeah.
And these things are not books, like you were saying. Let's walk around here and let's take a
please.
look.
Okay.
This first
one is definitely caught my eye.
Oh, okay. And I think
Metal detector?
Yep.
Okay.
It is. And it should provide a lot of fun for people that want to look for metal in the ground.
Yeah, it's got like the Canby Public Library tag, just like the books do.
Yes.
There's
And
laminated
also,
on there.
Yep. There's also a barcode.
Okay.
So we're
But
hoping.
this is like a professional level metal detector.
Yeah.
I mean, so folks could.
Look at all the functions here.
Okay, so we're looking at the buttons now. I think we have it upside down.
Okay. So there's a lot to figure out. Sensitivity. Oh, I don't know about all of them.
Okay, so there's like a jewelry mode, a relics mode.
Yep.
Coins.
Yep.
I'll be looking for relics, I think.
I go for the coins.
You do coins?
Yep.
Okay, well,
Yep.
That's where your heart lies. That's fine. That's awesome. And there's like a meter listing there too, or feet. Yeah, down to like 8+ feet for depth. That's pretty cool.
You're cool. You have the right eye to detect that.
Well, I have to describe things so the people listening have no idea what we're talking about.
Right.
So, all right, what do we got here?
Blood pressure monitor.
Okay, cool. Some medical equipment.
All these items will check out for 7 days.
Okay.
So some of the items, you will use a lot in those 7 days.
Right.
Other items are probably more for people to check them out and see if they want to purchase it.
Yeah, for their own use. Gotcha.
Right.
Cool. A little bit of a test drive.
Exactly.
And I believe, Hannah, am I correct that the rules are 7 days, no extensions, right?
That is correct,
Okay.
except there is, of course, an exception.
Okay.
And looking at the rock polisher right here.
Okay.
This little puppy will check out for 28 days.
Oh, why is
and
that?
the reason is, it takes a long time for the rocks to polish.
Really?
So you couldn't get them done in 7 days.
Okay.
So that's the
Interesting.
reason behind that.
That is cool.
The only item that will check out for longer
I
than
have
7
not
days.
thought of a rock polisher since I was a kid. Like, this is awesome. That's
Yeah,
so
and
cool.
I'm sure lots of families with children will take advantage of this.
Yeah, we've got some hiking equipment here, some camping, some outdoor stuff. It looks like a very cool compass and multi-tool, some walking
sticks.
For hiking.
Golf disc.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a little bit of froth action.
Yep.
With a case and everything. You kidding me? Got some binoculars.
Fabulous binoculars.
Okay.
And they're actually not very heavy. But they have a pretty good...
I gotta try this out.
Yeah, please do.
Okay,
Take
here
a
we
look.
go. Take the lens cap off.
Yes. Very good magnification.
Let's see. What am I gonna look at? Oh yeah, I can see the other side of the wall anyway, but now I can see it super close. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Okay, this would be like maybe for some people that do the bird watching.
For bird watching would be, ideal.
And this is going to be the full lineup that we'll have here in Canby, or this is just a sampling?
No, this is the full line.
This is it.
This is what we're having at this time.
Okay. What do we got here?
This is really cool, and lots of younger people probably will really embrace this.
I've never seen anything like that before.
It's a coding tool to learn coding, computer coding.
Okay.
And you can make this little device do all kinds of things if you're doing it right.
I'm scared of it. It looks way smarter than I am. So,
it's like it requires some skills.
This plastic ball with all this computerized stuff inside of it.
But a wonderful teaching tool.
Awesome. And it's called Sphero?
Let me take a look here, what it's called. Yes.
Robotic ball.
Yep.
Okay. Sphero. Cool.
Bicycle pump.
Okay.
Self-explanatory.
Karaoke machine.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. We are living in a world where you can get a karaoke machine and a bubble maker from the Canby Public Library. How come this is not, you have more people here, Hannah, if this were going right now, right?
Right.
Make this party central. But that's okay.
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah.
There were people here earlier, so.
Bubble machine, we said.
Uh-huh.
Should be very popular.
Yes.
And
this looks like BB-8 from Star Wars.
Well, sort of. A planetarium.
Oh, so it projects on the ceiling and stuff? Mm-hmm. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, that would be great. And some of these things would be great just for parties and stuff, but also very educational. Maybe some teachers would be interested.
We covered quite, a spectrum of, applications here.
Sure.
For all the people that are into automotive.
Yeah, to diagnose those stupid check engine lights.
Exactly. Before you take your car to the mechanic, check one of these out and is it a big problem or is it something you can fix
people
yourself?
that might be interested in becoming a mechanic
right.
or, to try their hand at different things. Yeah. So. And with some exercise stuff.
This is horseshoes.
Horseshoes, okay, cool. Yeah, Canby Public Library, horseshoes, and some weights.
We can exercise here.
Yes, Hannah just gave it a shot there with the 3 pound. That was very impressive. So tell me what the purpose of this is.
Well, the purpose is, libraries are all about recycling, in the broader sense, because you check out a book, you don't buy it, you bring it back, right?
Yeah.
Lots of people get to use an item, and the same here. We're buying way too many new things that are sitting in our houses.
Yeah.
They are used a couple times and then they disappear in the garage, never to be used again.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, we want to encourage people to, check them out here.
Yeah.
Use them, a few times, bring them back. If you want to buy something, check it out here. Is this actually an item that you want to own?
Yeah. And some of this stuff is very high quality as well, more than maybe I or some folks could afford. I know I have bought bubble machines before, and none of them are that quality, and none of them are still working at this point. So.
And the thing is, how often do you use it? Once or twice a year?
Yeah, when one of my kids has a birthday party. That's
exactly.
about it, so,
and that's true for many items here. So that is the idea, less consumption.
Yeah. Can you check out just one thing at a time, or could I do like a karaoke bubble machine party?
It's one thing at a time.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And we missed this big thing here.
Oh, we did? I thought it was part of the...
It's a telescope.
Oh, okay.
And
not part of the metal detector.
A high quality telescope.
See that.
It's
got
very
many
heavy.
Things that
very
scare
components.
Me with how breakable they are.
Yes.
Cool. Another really great educational thing, and also
Absolutely.
something that would be very expensive if you wanted to buy it yourself. So.
Yes. And I think maybe even teachers could take advantage of this.
Yeah.
And teach their students about it. So.
Cool. So when does the program officially start? I think
Monday.
It's Monday.
This coming Monday.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. So by the time folks are hearing this, it will be Monday.
Yes.
And they can go check it out.
Right. You will have to have a library card in good standing.
Okay.
We will ask you to sign a waiver. Everything will check out for 7 days, we said. No renewals.
Right.
You need to check it out at this library and return it to this library.
Right. Not any other Clackamas
Right.
County library,
Right.
unlike other books and things.
And you will need to come in and return your item. Nothing can go into the book return.
Okay, you can't shove the metal detector
Nope.
through that slot.
No.
Cool. Okay, great. Well, thanks so much, Hannah. I'm really excited about this. I hope other folks in the community are. I think this is a really neat thing to have available in our community for, like you said, folks to try things out or try their hand at a new skill, all for free. I'll provide it through our library. So
Hope to see you here
Absolutely.
at the library.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Hannah.
Thank you.
True story. When we first started the Canby Now podcast, we were looking to buy some stickers. Just something to help us get our name out there. We didn't have a lot of money, so we tried to do everything as cheaply as possible online. We wound up with 1,000 of these teeny tiny cheap looking stickers. Not exactly the impressive swag we were hoping for, but you know, you get what you pay for.
Yes, you do. If we had been smart, we would have gone to see Carrie at Promotional Strategies. She's a real live human and a creative genius who will deliver practical, strategic ways to promote your business on any budget. If you're looking for high quality swag that you can be proud to see your logo on, Promotional Strategies is where you want to go. Find them at 695 Southeast 1st Avenue in Canby or online at ps266swag.com. You know, Halloween will be here before you know it. Heck, the decorations are already in the stores. So I've got a scary good deal for you. DirectLink is offering 50% off their blazing fast internet speeds now through All Hallows Eve. Not only will you get a sweet candy corn of a deal, but every one of their broadband connections comes with unlimited data, free, and that's no trick. So switch to DirectLink to stream and surf as much as you like. Plus, take advantage of free Wi-Fi home networking for 6 months with free installation of commercial-grade Wi-Fi equipment that ensures your entire home has the strongest, most consistent signal in every room. Talk about a treat. Call 503-266-8111 or visit directlink.coop for blazing fast internet. The 2019 legislative session that wrapped up at the end of June will go down as one of the most contentious and divisive the state has ever seen, marked by a Democratic supermajority in both chambers and a Republican caucus in the Senate that felt it had no choice but to resort to not one, but two walkouts to stop legislation that they, and according to polls, many Oregonians opposed. Joining us on the Canby Conversation to talk about what happened and why moving to Canada or maybe Idaho, depending on your political persuasion, may not be such a bad idea after all, is Canby House District Representative for District 39, Christine Drazan. Representative, welcome back onto the show.
Thank you, Frankie. It's great to see you. Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're delighted to have you back on. So you've been around the legislature for a while. You served for many years as Chief of Staff to both the House Majority Leader and a Speaker of the House. But this was your first term in office. This was your first term in office. How many times did you stop and you were just like, what have I gotten myself into?
I had quite a culture shock going back this round.
Yeah. So how long had it been? Because I know you were on the Clackamas Planning. I believe you still are.
I'm still on the Planning Commission.
You did some work with the Canby School District on their budget committee, I believe.
Yes, I did.
So was there really a separation between your work down there and now your service?
Yes, big separation, actually. I mean, which I can measure by the height of my kids. And then my oldest is in college now. We just sent him off to Linfield last week.
Gotcha. So you do that thing on the door frame where you mark the heights, but it's instead of the heights of the kids, it's okay. I was in the legislature at this time, and then I was on school board.
And then life started again.
Right.
And then and so I ended my work there as a staff person in 2003, so it's been a really long time.
Oh, yeah.
16 years.
Okay, so it had been a while.
Yeah.
Were you there during the
the Democratic walkout? I wanted to ask you that.
I was chief of staff to the House Speaker when the Democrats walked out in the House for 2 weeks that year. So
99?
That was 2001 for that walkout. And so for me, listening to the rhetoric on the other side about how shocking and destructive it was and how the walkout was, how inappropriate it was, especially out of particularly the governor's office. And at the time, she was Senate Majority Leader, and she was saying things like, I stand with my House members in this walkout. This is so important.
Yeah.
And now she, wants to have revenge because the Senate Republicans didn't do what she wanted. It's a very interesting turnabout. And I almost feel like there's some fuzziness in their own personal stories, in their own life history, to be able to respond that way to something like this. So it was absolutely a very different building and a very different process.
Yeah. I think we all do that to a certain extent. Like we kind of write our own stories and kind of remember things our own certain way. So I can understand that to a certain extent, but I can also understand, your perspective on that, having seen the other side of it, and now it's, kind of very pointed language is being directed at you and your colleagues in the other chamber. So I wanted to hear kind of what your experience was. So these were the senators who walked out on 2 occasions. One to remind me the details. So much happened in the session. So the first time was over the vaccine bill?
The first time was over the medical freedom issue and whether or not vaccines would be mandated.
Yes.
So that one, and then the second time was over the issue of whether or not cap and trade.
Right, and so that was right at the end. That kind of stalled that last week, although folks did come back and type the budget and some other pressing things. So that all happened in the other chamber. You were also in the Republican minority, but in the House. What was kind of the talk over there? What was the feeling like? Did you kind of know what was going on? Did you... What was it like?
So you would be surprised at how distinct the House and the Senate are.
Yeah.
Maybe
I wouldn't. I've been there before.
Maybe you wouldn't be. Yeah, that's right. You wouldn't be. But the House and Senate are two really different chambers.
I think folks that maybe don't work down there would be surprised, for sure.
The culture is very different. Even the rules are different.
Yes.
They're just, even though... the whole idea of a bicameral legislature is really reflected in how different the House and the Senate operate. And so on our side in the House, as a new member who isn't in leadership, that for me, I was just a member of the public. And I was just, hearing about things as other people heard about things. I didn't have any kind of inside information on what happened there or where they went or how long they were going to be gone. We just played along at home on my side in the House, and we just kept doing our work. And we have a constitutional mandate to balance the budget, and that was very important. There's some really good and important work that was done in those budget bills that had to get passed. And so I was hopeful that they would come back at some point and that there would be an opportunity for a resolution. I think when we saw that in this particular session, when I watched it from the perspective of somebody who had seen how the process was managed before and now was experiencing how it was being managed differently.
Yeah.
And the rules of the House and the rules of the chamber broadly are that we have this thing called a bicameral legislature, which means we have a separate House and a Senate. And this session, though, they did things like combined different committees so that you wouldn't have separate committees that would hear issues. So it would be the joint committee on carbon, right? Instead of having a House committee on carbon and a Senate committee where the House would consider it and then the Senate would consider it, they did that jointly. As it turns out, that actually has an impact on how that committee operates. They have special rules for joint committees. And so by creating a joint committee, you kind of short-circuit the traditional process of having a policy.
Because you're all working on it together.
Yeah. And that also means in a joint committee, you can't have these little things called minority reports. And a minority report is a replacement for the original bill from the perspective of the people who didn't have the majority opinion.
Yeah, no, I've seen that movie. A minority report is when the bald people in the pool see a crime that's going to happen and they send the balls out to Tom Cruise. I've seen this. You're mistaken
unless
about that.
unless you're serving in the legislature.
Oh, okay. Then
it is a little different. It's a little bit less of a box.
I was going to say, I've been in the Capitol. I've never seen those people in the pool. So
I don't think it's a box office hit, but but it happens sometimes.
Minority Report reboot.
We should do that. That's what we should call it.
But that I didn't mean to make light of it. That was for the very much Republican, I guess, super minority. That was a real loss to the process. You felt to not have that.
Yeah. Well, I actually think it's a loss to the people of Oregon.
Right.
To have an alternative.
Yeah.
Actually discussed in a way that allows it to be debated on the floor.
Yeah.
And allows you to say, this is our approach.
Mm-hmm.
And if you create structurally, if you don't just have supermajorities, but then through your supermajorities you short circuit a process that even allows the minority voices to be heard, it's like insult on injury. You know, if you just allowed the system to work the way it's set up to work constitutionally, then even in the minority there's moments where you can still have your say, represent the perspectives of those who aren't in the majority. And it's a good open process in that way. You know, you might not win the vote, but you are representing your constituency.
Yeah. So I have one last question, and then I want to give you an opportunity to kind of talk and reflect in your own way about maybe what you feel were some of those successes that you mentioned, or just maybe things you learned as a first session legislator. But my question is just about less being like an elected official or somebody working down in the Capitol, and just kind of a person in this political culture in which we live, both state and national. I think that you and I personally have talked a little bit offline, and I wanted to ask you this question because I appreciate the way that you handle yourself as a person, the way that you handle yourself as an elected official, representing a certain constituents and representing a certain caucus and certain party, but in a way that is not, that I feel is very gracious toward folks who disagree, toward the other side. I don't feel that I've ever seen you like sort of demonize or, belittle or make light of folks on the other side as others might do on occasion, or maybe more than on occasion. And I really appreciate that, and I think we need more of that. For me personally, like I've never gotten too into really the partisan thing, just because I'm a millennial and I don't want to look stupid, and I don't like having people mad at me, and I just have great respect for the people who serve, and that do know a lot more than me. From the experiences that I've been able to have as a reporter, I am often very impressed by our elected officials and how they just know a lot about what's going on, and I tend to trust that over the crazies on Facebook.
Right.
But in this past session, there were times, and I'm going to say once I really dug into it, the vaccine bill being one of them, I think some of the aftermath that was pointed at Senator Boquist, where even I felt that feels a little opportunistic. There's stuff going on here. Even I feel like a little bit of a loss of trust and a loss of power or say in the process. And I'm just wondering, like, how you kind of deal with that as a person when even me, I think I would at least consider myself not a crazy Facebook person, start to feel a little bit like I'm not sure I can completely trust the people in power, or that I completely trust that they have the interest of the overall state rather than just their own ideals at heart.
Yeah, so I do think that was the hardest part of session for me, was going in and realizing the extent to which the exercise of that majority this time was the casual exercise of absolute power in a way that was just assumed to be permanent. And so therefore we're just going to do whatever we want to do because we absolutely have a sense that we do know better and we do know more than you, and we have the votes to do what we want.
Yeah.
And so instead of abiding by the results from ballot measures, they overturned them. or instead of responding to concerns for folks for a little bit of moderation in how they approached issues they cared about, they said, we don't have to moderate any of this, and we're going to do exactly precisely what we want and not be responsive to those concerns.
Yeah.
And that part of it, which to me was also reflected, like I said, in the process, this idea that they're going to tighten up the process to make it even less open.
Yeah.
Given the extent to the majorities.
Yeah.
It was just another way to show that we don't need to give people access.
Yeah.
We're just gonna maneuver this and navigate this to our own ends.
Yeah.
We need balance in Oregon. We need people to return to a local approach to politics where they say, there are issues at home that I care about, and there are local folks that want to work on those issues, and I am going to take just a few minutes out of my time to track and be aware and to hear and see what some of these local issues are that we're working on, and then vote for balance. I think sometimes there's so much noise at a federal level.
So polarized.
And it's so polarized nationally.
There's no gray, it's all black and white. So, yeah.
But I don't think that it should be that way in our state legislature.
Yeah.
I think our state legislature, if it's going to work well, needs to have representatives that are all across the spectrum.
Yeah.
And then we get the best possible public policy.
Yeah.
Where we have people who are able to represent the core of Portland and Condon, Oregon, and Estacada and Eagle Point and all these small towns in between. I think we need to have enough balance to return the voices across the full spectrum of Oregonians, and we just don't have that right now.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch and it's hard to participate in, but I am an eternal optimist, and
even after 2019 session.
Even after, well, not during 2019. So yeah, in that session, I wasn't feeling. I wasn't.
Okay, but now we're a couple months removed, and the optimism is back.
Optimism is bounced back. A little bit of family time.
Good. That's good.
A little bit of community time.
I think we could use some more optimists down there as well. So.
Well, and okay, what's the alternative, right?
Yeah.
I'm there to serve. I'm there to commit to my community. And I cannot do that with a pessimistic attitude that we can't make change.
Yeah.
And that we can't, in fact, make progress together.
Yeah.
So, it's a privilege to be there. It's a privilege to serve. And so I have to find my eternal internal optimist and make sure that that's still a core value for me. Because I still have to be willing to try. And you can't carry around stuff in politics, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think you can be upset for too long about anything that happened last year or last month.
Yeah.
You just got to move forward.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I did not mean for this interview to be just like a whole cathartic, reflective process for me, but I guess that's kind of what it turned into. But I did want to give you a chance in our last few minutes here to kind of share some of your thoughts, or share with our listeners and your constituents things that you feel that they should know, or sort of update them, or just your takeaways from the session. Anything that you'd really like to put out there.
Thank you. So I love that. That's pretty open-ended. So I think that what I'm going to do with that time is just a couple of things. First, we have legislative days, so people should be aware of kind of how our process works now. So every quarter we'll get together in Salem and our committees will meet, and we received our interim committees, so now I'll serve on full Ways and Means as well as the Education Subcommittee, which is a lot of budget stuff, which I am excited to participate in those kind of budget conversations because budgets express our priorities. And so budgets reflect, where we spend our money reflects who we want to be as a state. And so I'm excited to serve in that capacity. And then also continuing on in my work in the healthcare committee I think is going to be really important moving forward. And then the economic development committee. And so those committees will meet every quarter.
And what are you doing in the interim? You're sort of laying the groundwork for the policies and the bills that are going to be coming out next session?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So so those legislative days when the committees meet, we will hear policy proposals and we'll kind of dive deeper into issues and have the chance now to develop some plans for where we go in the 2020 short session.
Okay.
So that's how that work will happen. And also from a budget perspective, we'll continue to get updates on where revenues are and whether or not we will continue to have a balanced budget, or if there'll be more money to spend or less money to spend. So that'll be that part of the work. And so from the session, though, there's a couple of things that I was really happy with and really pleased to see passed. And we did some good work around suicide prevention, where school districts across the whole state will now be creating suicide prevention plans for their school districts. I know a lot already have those underway, and I'm optimistic that will really make a big difference across our whole state. And there was also new funding for our FFA programs that I was excited to carry that bill on the floor. So those programs won't have any barriers anymore. So students who want to join FFA, there'll be no fees. That money's all covered now.
Fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
It's really good. I think it's a great leadership program. It's supportive of students and their families. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And we also got new funding for homeless youth. Canby has a surprising number of unaccompanied and homeless youth in our community, and that was a priority for me.
Yeah.
And so partnering with Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon, they have a program called Second Home that's in Canby and Oregon City and all those schools in my district. And so I got funding for that program to expand. Yeah. It's an ongoing need, and their success rate with students is life-changing.
It is. So the interview was actually for Second Home, and I was stunned. So they, outside of their program, an unaccompanied student, the graduation rate is about half will graduate, 50%. Under their program, just having a stable home, just not worrying about, am I going to have a home to go to after school lets out at 2:30, jumps that up to 95%. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And so that's the kind of investment to me that is absolutely essential. And so I was thrilled to be able to get additional funding for that. I really do think it's going to make a huge difference.
Cool.
And so when I talk about stuff that happened this session that was positive and good, and we worked together and we got some good stuff done, those are just a few examples of that. Yeah. And so even though we made national news and things broke down and it was contentious and it was difficult and challenging, in the midst of that, there absolutely were successes and opportunities to really help and support this district and our whole state. So it was a privilege to be there. And I hope that anybody that ever wants to talk to me about an idea or a concern, constituent services are really important in my office, where we help people navigate working with agencies, or we answer their questions about kind of anything related to what goes on between them and their state government. And so I can be reached anytime at my district office, which is 503-986-1439. And of course, we're in Salem quarterly, and I'm in the community all the time. So I hope people will reach out.
Yeah, you're in Canby right now.
I'm in Canby right now.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Representative Drazan. I've really appreciated your time, and I know you're a busy person, so thanks for taking time out to talk to us and reflect with us. So.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you.
For an ad-free version of this episode featuring an extended version of our conversation with Representative Christine Drazan, please consider becoming a premium member of the Canby Now Plus. You'll get some cool merch, a shout-out from this program to you and all of the adoring fans, and best of all, you'll help ensure Frankie and I can continue to bring you independent, local journalism and interesting conversations like these every week. Details at cambynowpod.com/plus. In the extended version, Representative Drazan shares more of her thoughts about where the state can go from here after the Republican walkouts.
But I do think it should be a moment for reflection.
Yeah.
You know, we should never have to do that again. And there are ways around it. We're talking about public policy here. We all want what's best for our state, and we have different approaches for how we get there.
Yeah.
But we have absolutely shared goals that we want to do what is best for Oregonians.
So I'm here with Derek Hill, president of Advantage Mortgage in Canby. I was wondering what's going on in the mortgage industry right now.
The mortgage industry is on fire right now. The big thing that's really exciting for us is that we are now an independent mortgage broker, which means that we can offer substantially lower rates and lower fees for our customers. For example, we just got a loan last week, and the realtor said, hey, I think you should go talk to Derek at Advantage Mortgage. And sure enough, we got the borrower 3/4 better rate, and we saved them $14,000 in fees.
Cool. So where can people find you?
So office number is 503-266-5800, or they can find us on the web at findtheadvantage.com. But most people just give us a holler or they stop in.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, bet. Advantage Mortgage, NMLS number 1770599. Derek Hills, NMLS number 50183. Equal housing opportunity.
The great outdoors. Sometimes you just gotta get away to a place where life is simpler. The air is clean and the nearest ringing phone is about a million miles away. One of the best places that we found is My Cowboy Cabin near Joseph, Oregon, in the heart of the Eagle Cap Wilderness.
Eagle Cap is the largest unspoiled wilderness area in Oregon, with breathtaking views of granite mountains and crystal clear lakes, and more than 500 miles of trails to explore. It's one of the premier hiking, fishing, and hunting destinations in the Pacific Northwest. My Cowboy Cabin is open from Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend and can be reserved on a weekly or monthly basis, depending on availability. With a cabin that sleeps up to 8 people,
and also a teepee that sleeps 8 or more.
That's right. It's perfect for family vacations, retreats, reunions, and more. Find out more at mycowboycabin.com. Well, we've got quite a bit of fun stuff happening in Aurora this week and in the coming next couple of weeks. And joining us on the line again now to talk about some of that stuff is Lisa Hand of Windhorst Antiques in Aurora. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for asking. How are you?
I am doing well. We're busy right now getting ready for everything, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 3 events that we're going to talk about. The first one is actually happening tomorrow, Tuesday. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
This is exciting. We have 2 national-level costuming folks coming in. It's Red Threaded out of Colorado and Dames a la Mode out of D.C.
Wow.
And Red Threaded does corsetry, so all your undergarments. She has both patterns and the actual items to wear and come and get fitted. She's an expert on this. And then Dames a la Mode does historical jewelry. She recreates things mostly out of portraits and fashion plates, which is really fascinating. She can show you the original work and the jewelry that's been inspired by it.
Cool.
She has some millinery, which is hat items and lace and things like that. Little purses and all that. But there's a lot of us that follow both of these ladies who are in the local costuming community. Mm-hmm. They both have upwards of 15,000 followers on Facebook, so they're pretty well known. And especially they post some
that's a big deal.
Costumes. It is. They post some great costumes that they've created. So they've Taylor earlier this year went to Venice with several other ladies, and they had made costumes specifically to wear there and to have pictures taken in Venice while they were wearing them.
Oh, wow.
Which was pretty amazing to watch her go through the process of creating it.
Well, I mean, it's easy to build 15,000 followers when you have content like that. I mean, come on. That's
that and cats.
Yes, that and cats and cat memes and all things cats. So, cool.
Yes, indeed. I have Victorian cats up on my Windhorst right now.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, building some followers there. Red Threaded is from Boulder, Colorado?
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome.
It's really important. I mean, I don't... And she'd want to talk about this too, and I'll go on to the next thought in a moment. But the first thing is to have the correct foundational garments on when you're doing historical costuming. So if you don't do that, then the costumes won't look correct. So and there are different foundations for different eras. So that she does that. And then, of course, you get into the long conversation about corsets and how and all the misinformation out there on corsets, which is very funny sometimes. It pops up on Facebook really often, but no, people didn't have ribs removed, and no, they couldn't breathe, and you didn't have fainting couches because your corsets were too tight.
Right.
It was just what you wore as part of the cost of the ensemble to make sure the exterior stuff fit correctly.
Yeah.
And frankly, my corset's very comfortable. Kay Demelo of Lavender's Green Historic Clothing in Hillsborough, who made mine for me. And she's part of our local costuming community. And I also have Regency stays, which are what you wear under the Jane Austen-inspired clothing.
I love it. I think that it's really cool, like, because, like cosplaying is a big thing, and my co-host Tyler is really into cosplaying, and that's just an outlet for, and I'm not saying that this is cosplaying, but that's an outlet for people being able to dress up and just kind of support the things that they love, which is also the case here, whether it's, Jane Austen or that historical side, but you're also learning a little bit about history, because you're learning kind of the way women actually dressed and lived in those times, so.
And it's very interesting because because I do teach history. It's part of what I do as an antique dealer. I don't just sell the items. I actually know the stories behind them, and I like to share those. And it's the most common thing that will happen when someone comes to my shop, which is by appointment, is they'll ask, if they know me, they'll say, "What's the story behind this?" Because I almost always know I know it.
Right.
And sharing those details of how something was used in history and why something existed, I find fascinating, and I love sharing it.
Absolutely. So that's going to be tomorrow, Tuesday, the 24th, all day from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
All day, 10 to 8. Yeah, we did hours so that folks can come after work. The other thing we're going to do is the ladies are going to be on the second floor, the top floor of the Legion Hall.
Okay.
The bottom floor where the kitchen is, we'll have tea and coffee and nibbles all day, but we also have it set up if anyone's working on a costume and wants some input and some help from fellow customers, we're going to have a share and sewing area and a trade area set up.
That's really cool. Are there tickets or need to RSVP or anything for that?
This is a free event.
Awesome.
You can just come anytime during the day you wish. If there's a bunch of people when you come in, we'll probably queue everyone up to see the two different ladies. But I think we have plenty of stuff there to keep people busy.
Cool. Love it. All right. Well, what else is going on?
Oh, on Saturday and Sunday, the 28th and 29th.
Right. So this weekend.
Oh, yes, coming weekend. This is my second large event of the year. The Jane Austen in the spring is the first. This is a Victorian fair with tea. So we're coming forward right after the Regency period. We're starting in 1837 when Victoria was crowned queen, and we go through her death in 1901.
Oh, cool.
So that's the whole time frame. It's a big one. So it's both days. We have a number of different things going on. The first is we have tea seatings on both days. 11 and 2 each day for an authentic afternoon tea, which will be the 3-course scone savory sweet course accompanied with a chat on afternoon tea and the Victorian Pretties, which is a presentation I do. We also have for our little ones and the young at heart, we have a teddy bear etiquette tea at noon each day.
Oh, no way. That's so cool.
And it's what's called a cream tea, which means it's just scones and tea. We're not going to expect them to sit for a long period of time, but we want to share teddies. And I know I'm coming a little bit into Edwardian on that because teddy bears originate from 1902.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, I love it.
They're too adorable. And
too adorable. We'll let you fudge that. We won't hold that against you at all. No worries.
I actually had the head of the Edwardian Society sort of looked at me when I said I was having a teddy bear tea last year. I said, I know it's Edwardian.
That's funny. Cool.
But the thing that's really nice about our costuming community and the different organizations is we're very, very open to whoever wants to participate. If all you have is a hat or all you have is a fun purse, you want to come. The costumes are admired but not required. And we love teaching new people about the whole community. So there's no looking down anybody's nose that they don't have exactly the period correct thing. We want everyone to have a good time.
Awesome. Cool.
We also have a fair going on. So the tea room is going to be on the first floor of the Legion Hall, but second floor, and over also at McLaren Auction Services, I have a fair, which will include vendors with curated items that are either related to Victorian. We have tea and honey and chocolate. So we have some local producers participating.
Oh, awesome.
I have to just throw this in. I have some of the most stunning silver and sterling items I've ever had for offer that will be part of this. So I'm very, very excited about that.
I bet you are.
Yeah. We've got a keynote speaker at 3:00 each day. It's Marge Harding, and she is a published author on a number of different things, and she does living history presentations. She's going to be talking about mourning traditions, so the grieving traditions from the Victorian era.
Interesting.
And that's called Rites, Rituals, and Reality, because she's going to talk about what it actually meant, and there's misconceptions there as well.
Sure. That's really cool.
Yeah, she's delightful. She actually will have a booth in the fair as well.
Yeah. A nice uplifting talk, Lisa. That's great. No, I'm just kidding.
And see, that's one of those things is I personally believe that we don't quite connect as much with that process as we should in the modern world.
Yeah.
And I think further understanding why the process was important during Victorian times is maybe informative for our time as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We also have several locations in downtown Aurora who are participating in the whole vibe of the weekend. So that includes Time After Time Antiques, French Prairie Perennials, Back Porch Vintage, and then the Pheasant Run Tasting Room is going to be open a little bit longer hours to match up with the fair. And they're going to have some pub offerings as well. So they're the pub option.
Now you're talking my language.
I figured we'll have some taste pasties and pies along with their normal stuff that they offer.
Cool. Awesome. So that's going to be this Saturday and Sunday, September 28th and 29th. And I think, Lisa, ticket information is on your website, windhorseantiques.net?
It's there. It's also up on Facebook under both Windhorse Antiques and a Victorian Fair with Tea.
Awesome.
And then the final thing that I just want to chat real quick about is that we do have a soiree on Saturday evening. It's from 6 to 9.
Okay.
It's going to include a presentation on fans, a fashion show, and just some other entertainment, a buffet, and that helps support our historic homes and museum and society partners.
Love it. Very cool, yeah. And I think that you did that during the last tea as well, and I think that was a pretty big hit.
We did for the Jane Austen, the event for the Jane Austen supported the Jane Austen Literacy Foundation, and this is going to support the Hillsborough Historical Society, Bush House Museum in Salem, and the Aurora Historical Society.
Yeah, because that's when you really get into it with all the glamour and elegance of the time.
We hope.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I have a new dress.
Oh, okay. Of course you do.
New to me.
Yeah. Wonderful. And a new corset and everything. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, and we do encourage our steampunk friends to come to this as well, because steampunk originates from Victoriana.
Oh, cool.
So,
well, there you go. Might have some cosplayers show up anyway.
Yes, indeed. One of my costumes will be steampunk.
There you go. Awesome. Cool. And I think there's one third thing that's also on tap in Aurora.
And yes, indeed. On the 5th of October, this is our normal date for our Aurora Colony Flea, which goes September through May, the first Saturday of each month. But added on for October is we're doing a Taste of Aurora. So the local restaurants are doing special offerings, as are the shops.
I love that.
Yes, indeed. So they come and get extra food and tastes of it. But at the flea market, we have a challenge going on. This is our first annual Aurora Bake Off.
Oh, cool.
So we are inviting anyone who has a wonderful cobbler or crisp recipe to bring it to the Legion Hall. We'll have it set up in the concessions area of the flea market, because we have concessions every time, sweets in the morning and lunch from 11 to 2. It'll be set up there. Carrie at French Prairie and the Aurora Colony Visitors Association is handling the judges. So I'm not involved in the judging, but we're inviting everyone to bring. And I know Carrie was thinking maybe Aurora versus Canby might be fun.
Oh, well, hey, gauntlet's been thrown.
Yes, indeed.
That would be fun.
And I think it's a win-win-win, because you get to come and bring your favorite recipe. Everybody gets to have a taste.
Yeah. And then the Canby gets to win. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, maybe. I think we might do a People's Choice as well. So I'm trying to convince everyone on that.
Yeah.
And I think this will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love it. My wife has been watching a lot of that, the Great British Bake Off.
Oh,
have you ever seen that show? Yeah, she loves it. She says it's like the nicest reality show, because they're all bakers, because bakers are nice and they're all British. So it's not very competitive. They're always like...
No, and that's any of the baking shows in Britain are that way. There's never, even get this, even Gordon Ramsay shows.
Oh, really? No way. That's funny.
He looks entirely different on British television than he does on American television.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the competitions are always, there's no fakey drama between the different contestants.
Oh, yeah. No, they'll be like head to head, like super competitive, and they're still like talking to their opponents like, oh, that's lovely. Like,
oh, they're all hugging each other and helping each other.
Crying.
It's lovely to watch. It really is. Yeah. And so we would love to have everybody just come bring their best cobbler and crisp and have fun and visit the flea market, visit the other shops. The flea market's from 9 to 4. And I think we want submissions in by 11, and we're going to judge at noon.
Okay, great. Well, that all sounds like a lot of fun. There's a lot going on in Aurora, like I suspected.
There is.
Yeah. So thanks so much for telling us all about it. And we appreciate having you back on, Lise.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity to let you know about it.
Let's talk about it. Or It Too. No, not It as well. I mean, It Chapter 2. Because Halloween is my favorite holiday of the year, I'll be reviewing scary and Halloween-themed movies until Frankie tells me to stop. So let's start with it. I like It Too quite a bit. That is to say, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the first movie, but that's not a big deal for me. See, I loved Chapter 1 of It. It's my favorite horror movie, hands down. I saw it 3 times in theaters and then a couple more times with friends last Halloween. It's scary, very scary. It has heart, the good guys kinda win in the end, and it toes the line between comedy and fear that makes it great for pacing. So, coming into the second film, I tried to lower my expectations because sequels suck. They always suck. But It Chapter 2 doesn't suck. Far from it. Like I stated before, it's actually pretty good. We catch up with the Losers Club, the group of kids from the first movie, as they've grown in 27 years and have moved into the world and moved on with their lives. When they each get an ominous call from Mike, the one person in their group that stayed in their hometown of Derry, they all work through a fog of forgotten memories to reconvene. After a terrifying reunion, the group then spends the next couple hours of the film flipping back and forth on staying or leaving, all while reconnecting with each other, their childhood, and reconnecting with the interdimensional demonic entity that parades as a clown. Each character gets a chance to shine and grow in this movie, and we get a few good spooks along the way. We also see a good amount of laughs. Of course, when you have a comedy heavy hitter like Bill Hader playing a smart aleck like Richie, the story is bound to be grounded by its sarcasm. This movie does a good job of pointing back to the first and to the source material, as well as paving a new way for a lot of encounters in the horror genre. But I think where it fails to live up to the first is the fact that it spends so much time pushing the past in our face. We are along for the ride with the characters as they go through the roller coaster of their past. The terror that should be there, we know that they're going to live through it, because they have to grow up. We've already met them as adults. The few times that the adults themselves are in danger before the final climax, we're left with a bad feeling, but not dread. We jump at the quick jump scares that Pennywise gives us, but we don't sit on the edge of the seat waiting for them to be taken. We know that they have to make it to the end, or else why spend so much time building these characters? I feel like the actors in this film did a wonderful job of playing the adult versions of the kids that we met in the first movie. And I think ultimately this is a good movie with plenty of good scares to make it a good horror movie. I just don't think it surpasses the first one. That being said, I would recommend It Chapter 2 to anyone who's looking for a gory, scary, adult-themed movie to give them a good chill this Halloween season. I would also go a step further and say go watch It Chapter 1, then go to the theater and watch It Chapter 2. Also, a quick word of wisdom, if a clown is talking to you from inside of a water drain, maybe ask to see its ID before you let him help you float.
Hey, Tyler, did you know that the world has changed in the past 20 years?
No way!
Yep, it's true. The way people shop for goods and services has completely changed since this thing called the internet started catching on.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And yet some realtors still offer the same old services in the same old ways and for the same old percentages. Victory Point Property Group in Canby believes it's time the real estate business caught up with the times. They'll meet with you for free, explain every step of the process, give you a clear game plan, and even let you choose the listing commission.
Really? They let you choose their commission?
Really, Victory Point Property Group understands this is one of the biggest and most exciting decisions of your life, and they'll do everything they can to make sure you handle it like a rock star.
Wow, that sounds great. I'm going to check them out by calling 503-263-4700 or by visiting online at victorypointhomes.com.
You do that. Victory Point Property Group, real estate reimagined.
The Canby Now podcast is a production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
Canby Now podcast is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
Huge thank you as well to our supporters on Patreon. We rely on your monthly contributions to continue to do this work that we seriously love. For information on how you can become one of the coolest people in the world, a patron of the Canby Now podcast, visit cambynowpod.com/plus.